Hey, this is Monica Harrison for Health Behavior 240, and I'm trying to go connect with Mary. She's been invited. She's trying to get on. We have been meeting for a few minutes over the phone because we've been having struggles back and forth with trying to get everybody on. Kelly and Jolynn have decided that they were going to meet by themselves because there were some problems with Mary getting on earlier. We had all planned to meet at 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, which it is 2:24 Mountain Standard Time right now. And Mary and I have been on the phone for, like I said, a few minutes trying to connect. We were able to connect on um, Google, but we weren't able to get on Google Air with Mary. We're trying really hard. We're working diligently to be able to make this happen for this week. If I'm going to give her a few more minutes, if this doesn't happen for her, then we're going to have to meet on the phone, and I'll put her on speaker so that you can hear. We're again working really hard between scheduling and study time and work time and all that. It's really, really hard, but we can do hard things. At any rate, so I am still waiting. We are trying to get on right now. Mary keeps telling me she's not being able to get on, and we are trying. I just sent her a third request. We are doing our very best to try to make this happen for her, for us. There she is. Awesome.
Yay.
Yay, finally. I was just saying in the video how we've just been struggling to try and get all of us on, and that we really do want to get together, and we're trying, but we're just been, we've just been struggling. So,
I know.
at any rate, okay. So, let's talk about our application here for week 9. Um, Mine just went blank for a second. Okay, so we're going to be talking about referencing Chapter 11, Health Communications and Social Marketing, and also talking about the 7 key components: the sender, encoding, message, channel, and decoding, receiving, and noise. So, Mary, did you watch did you listen and watch the television and the radio and the newspaper ads for the campaigns?
Uh, the only video I watched the video about texting and driving. With that, the second part, I think you can pick any video or whatever for each
Right.
category? No, I haven't had the chance to do that yet.
Okay. So then let's talk about that video then that you watched. It was pretty impactful, wasn't it?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Especially like the part. It caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it.
I know.
That it would get your attention if you were a person who text and drive.
Yeah, you know what I did is I put a little heart, a self-adhesive heart on my rearview mirror as a reminder since I watched that video, not to text and drive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just as a little reminder to me because I'm guilty at sitting at a light while I'm waiting for the light to change and look at it real
Mhm.
quick, and I'm trying really hard not to do that anymore because that really struck me. That was terrifying on both sides.
Yeah, it is. It was. Well, I don't so much have the problem of texting and driving, so,
That's
but
good.
I do have family members who, like the younger ones who like to do that. So, but that is a wake up call. And I've heard and seen so many stories where people die from texting and driving. So,
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Okay, so um, for question one, it asks, what impact did the message have on you as the receiver? Well, we both kind of talked about that,
yeah.
and yeah, it's pretty profound. Pretty profound. Um, how about the noise? What noise do you think affects the message on you, and how?
It's a noise.
Do you remember hearing any background noise in that video? Like the
Uh,
girl, like the girls driving. Do you remember the three girls that were driving in the car, and they were kind of giggling. There was music playing in the background, and they were laughing and just kind of carrying on
yeah, and all of a sudden it just got really quiet there when,
when it was all coming to a head.
yes.
Yeah, and that's a scary thing too. You know, um, I think of when I sat down and after I turned that off, and I did the radio thing too. I listened to that as well, and I've done the rest of it. But we'll just stick with what you've done so far. Is that I know, like for my mom always likes to have the TV or the radio on. She doesn't like the house real quiet.
Okay.
I notice for me, when I'm driving, I like the radio off. I like it quiet. Um, Maybe it's because I work in an environment that's really loud all the time and there's music constantly. And when I'm home and my kids are home, and I just
Yeah.
kind of the opposite. However, uh, I know that noise is very distracting. And as I watched that video with those girls, you could just tell that they were engaged in each other. They weren't engaged, especially the driver, on the way home, or on their way to that party or whatever, because she was texting her mom or something to say that she was going to a party or she was on her way home from something and she was distracted
Yeah.
between the
Yeah, my
text and
mom.
the music.
Yeah.
So, and then the mom on the other end, the one that was going to get hit, and I mean, that kind of sucker punched me when she was standing in the road with the girl saying, my babies are in the car. And just prior to her stopping, it was her little kids, laughing and what have you. And that was profound for me anyway, because we don't want to think about our loved ones laughing in one minute and dead the next.
Yeah.
Pretty scary, I think.
Yeah, that was a big wake up call.
Hmm. For
So
sure.
I think if someone who actually texts and if they actually watched that video, it would have a profound uh, influence on them. Well, at least while it's firstly on their mind, maybe over time they might forget and go back into their habit of texting. But I don't see
Right.
how otherwise it wouldn't affect them in some way or another. Because I think
I
you will
think
have
anybody
friends.
who has a conscience,
Yes, that
I
was a really
definitely
good
think
video.
that. Yeah, it was. And so do you think that based on the 7 components from that Shannon Weaver model of communications, that those 7 models were used and were taken seriously? Or do you see how the components of all of that being used can target somebody, just like what you were saying a minute ago?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, so who do you think was the sender in this message? What's your thoughts on that? Who do you think was the sender?
What did I do with my note? The sender was, well, I think it might have been uh, the radio station. I mean, I can't find my notes now. 'Cause I wrote all that. Oh,
See,
I think it was Channel 6 News.
it was what?
Channel 6 News. Or when I was,
See, I don't remember who posted that. I just know it was on YouTube. My memory doesn't serve me right. But what I got out of that was the sender was the mom who was about to be hit.
oh, okay.
She was pleading with the community, please don't text and drive.
Or since you said that, it might have been some of her loved ones who, after all that happened, they probably went forth and decided to take some actions, and they came up with that
Yeah,
idea to, yeah,
maybe her husband or somebody that, yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that part. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And what about the encoding? Where do you think that was coming from, or the message that was there, the how they were portraying it?
Mm. The encoding part, I was a little bit confused about that one because it said encoding is when they use like another language or some symbol or something to make it harder for someone else to actually communicate what they're trying to say or understand
Right.
what you're trying to say.
Well, and yeah, and you're right as far as the what encoding means. I think that they were trying, the encoding is to try to impress somebody else on the impression that you're trying to portray, using whatever method you can, is my understanding, to get
Oh,
the message across. So I think, like what you said, it could have been a family member. I think that the way that they did it, they targeted the girls that were being silly in the car and being irresponsible. And I also think that it, like what you said, that it would strike the family members of not only that mother that was pleading with the girl, but also, what about the parents of the girl who was texting? And I mean, it, you know, so scary. I mean, sort not a sore example, but back in March, my son and I took a trip, and when we drove back, it was raining cats and dogs from the airport, and my daughter was on the phone with me, on the car phone. It was wireless. I didn't have a headset on or anything, but it was raining so hard that my windshield wipers weren't working very fast, and or what was working fast enough. And my daughter had called me to tell me if I could to pull over because we were heading in the eye of the storm, and we live in Tornado Alley. And so my daughter was talking to me while I was driving, both hands on the wheel, focusing. And as I was driving, the windshield wipers weren't going fast enough or couldn't go fast enough, a car was approaching me in the opposite line. He was trying to pass a semi truck, and he approached me head on, and we were almost hit head on. And while Amanda, my daughter, was on the phone with me, this car, because I couldn't really see out my windshield wipers, I was looking, and all of a sudden he was right there in front of me, and all I could say was, "Oh my stars, oh my stars, oh my stars." And I pulled over into the emergency lane and almost went into the ditch. And the whole time my daughter's crying. She's like, "Mom, what's wrong?" And I had to pull over. I started to cry. And two things. One, it scared me to death. It scared my son that was in the back seat. But I kept thinking about the impact that it would leave on my daughter had she been on the phone and heard that accident, me panicking and her hearing that whole thing go down.
Yeah, that would
And
be an awful situation.
Yeah, and I thought about that encoding message, or the encoding and the message in the 7 steps or the 7 key components when I read that. It was pretty profound, and I think it would be on anybody.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that way you looked at that, because actually what you're saying is, now that it makes a whole lot of sense.
yeah. Yeah. So I think that even the decoding, going into the 4th one or the 5th one of the 7 components, is the decoding. I think that everybody totally got that.
Yeah.
And the receivers was anybody who watched that. You nailed it when you said, there's, who wouldn't? I don't care if you're even a murderer has somebody that they love deep down inside. And if one of their family members, that's again what I thought of, anybody who, I don't care whether you have you'd have to be like a total, I don't even know, heartless wonder not to have a person. Every person on this earth, I would think, would have at least one person they care for and wouldn't want to see hurt or be mad about someone being hurt. So I think the receiver could be anybody that listened to that message. What do you think about that?
Well, you're right. The message could be for anyone, but overall, I think it's for those who actually text and they don't see a problem in texting. So, but when the mother got out and they started talking, I think it made it come alive a lot more, and it sunk in, and it seemed a whole lot more personal than if they collided with each other and showed her texting. So the way they went about sending the message made all the difference in how it would affect everyone. So
Yeah, I think it drove it home.
yeah,
That's for sure.
pretty
Yeah, pretty neat and pretty scary all at the same time,
neat. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
well, and then the last one is it goes into the noise again. So it lists the components and then describe them in detail. So which I think we did. And then the last one, do you feel that the message is decoded the same way as it was encoded, and why?
Encoded the same as it would decode it.
Yeah, do you feel like it was the same as far as the models of communication?
Uh, hmm.
So what it means is when you decode a message, it means that you're extracting the meaning of that message into terms that you're able to easily understand. So it's both verbal and nonverbal. So I think you and I, what we've been talking about is right as far as that message was easy for anybody to be able to break down that message. Don't text while you're driving. And the like, for example, with decoding, it says that decoding behavior without using words would be observing body language. That's one way that you could do it. Or people are able to decode body language based on their emotions. So, it could be someone crossing their arms and scowling, and, you could, if you just signed on with me right now and you saw me sitting like this, you're automatically going to think, well, there's something up with Monica. What's her deal? And so,
you're tired of waiting.
Right? And not even knowing me, if you saw me from across the street, you'd say something's up with her. She's ticked off about something. So, but like when that mom got out of her car and she was standing there, I mean, you could just tell her despair. And you could also tell from the girl, without them even saying two words, of, oh my gosh, whoa, wait a minute, And so I don't know. I think that both the decoding and encoding were both used very strong and very thorough, I guess you could say.
Actually, the other girls that were in the car, you could tell that they knew something. It just wasn't right anymore. It's like something's went wrong here. We were in trouble. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you would say then that because in step 4, number 3, it asks, excuse me, do you feel the message is decoded the same way as it was encoded, and why?
Which one are you on?
I'm on step 4, number 3.
Okay. Number 3.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what. Okay. So we don't care. You say step 3?
Yeah, I was looking on the application for this week.
Oh,
I know we're in the group discussion part, but just going
okay.
over what we're supposed to do individually might help you, with what, because you said you haven't done it yet. And so that's why I was just trying to see if that helped you at all.
Oh, it did. Thank you.
Okay.
So I was back on the other one.
Okay.
But I understand it a whole lot better now. So have you
You
already
do?
finished that? What did you say?
You feel better about it now?
Yes, because with
Okay.
each one of the 1, 2, and 3, you're supposed to use the action model to do it, like we just did the texting and driving.
Right.
At first, I wasn't sure what they were wanting.
Yeah. That's why, like I said, I was going over that for you to see if that helped,
Yes,
to help you understand it.
it makes a whole lot more sense.
Okay.
And so you can choose any public service announcement as long as it's in the television, radio, or newspaper section, right?
That was my understanding, and that's how I did it. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so you have any other questions for this week? I'm going to go over really quick one other thing just to make sure that we hit everything, because I don't want us to miss anything.
They ask, what is health literacy and why is it important?
So health literacy is my understanding is that how do we communicate as educators to get all people to understand what we're trying to convey? So
Yeah.
even those who, what if you had a room full of people that couldn't read or write, and maybe you even had um, some special needs in there? How would you convey to them not to smoke? How would you convey to them how to change their behavior, whatever that is? And so health literacy is the importance of us being able to communicate to the person that or individuals or community of how we're going to get them to understand
Yeah.
using those 7 key concepts.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So, and then, well, let's ask, why is it important? Well, if you can't get a message across to the community or the target population, you're not going to get anywhere, and it's they're going to just continue to do those things that they're already doing. So,
Yeah,
it's very important. It's a way to educate others about their health and ways to improve it.
right. Okay. Um, Going back over, let's see. It said, okay, in the model discussion, it also asks about, we talked about the 7 components already. Why is health literacy important? Watch the public service, texting and driving, which we did, and identify the 7, which we did. And then evaluate the PSA and discuss the components as well as the message to you, which I think we did. Do you feel that way so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we did that.
What components are strong and what could they have done differently? I think all of the components of encoding, decoding, um,
Yeah.
the message, I think that I don't know that I could have done anything differently, because like what you said is, had they just had the crash and then end it and don't text and drive, yeah,
Hmm.
that would have been gnarly, but not like how they ended it now. I mean, that was a whole other gig for me.
Yeah, it was. It got my attention. So, because I've watched other uh, videos talking about no texting and driving, and I didn't. It didn't have the same effect. So that
Right,
really got my
right.
attention.
Yeah. It says, how did the message change behavior? Well, I think that little girl, when she approached the mom, she was like, no, 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 I didn't mean it. I didn't want to hurt anything. I was just telling my mom I was going to wherever. And I think if she could have had a chance to change it, she would have, had she been given
Yeah, I think she.
that chance.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
okay. And then the last one, it says, review the application assignment for this week and brainstorm any ideas or answer questions as the group to evaluate communication interventions. So, and that's kind of why I went over the application questions with you,
Okay.
because if the application is, excuse me, an individual assignment, but we were just supposed to discuss it as a group.
Okay. Well, I'm good on that part. I understand it now.
Okay. All right, cool. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to find out where we're at right here. Okay, good. Okay, so any rate, I think we're good. Do you feel good about it, or
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, I
Okay.
think it's good.
Okay. So what is next week like for you? I don't know if we'll continue to have problems with all of us getting together or
Well, I
what
thought
have you.
it was, I thought this was the last week, is it not?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I apologize. I don't know.
I thought it said somewhere that this was the last week of group meetings, if I'm not mistaken.
Really? Okay. I'm going to go look right now. You'll forgive me 1 second here.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I saw that. You also have another meeting with your group. I hope those are going well. Mm. I don't know where I saw that.
Was it for another class? Are you taking another class?
No, it's this class. In the notes, he said you also have another meeting with your groups.
Oh,
Uh, but I saw it somewhere else, I thought. Because they didn't, Jolie Lynn didn't say, they didn't say they were having a meeting next week. They didn't say anything about a meeting. But I really thought that this was the last week of their meeting. I could be wrong, but I
um,
don't know where it is now. Because next week we have a couple
okay. So
topics.
yeah, we have four. Oh, you know what? I don't think we have a meeting next week. I think you're right because there's four relevance
Yeah,
topics.
yes, I
And
think I've
I've
seen
already,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. But participate in the relevance discussion with your group. So there is one. So hang on here. Um,
Where are you?
the relevance. So in lesson, oh, that's lesson 9. Rats. Hang on. Yeah, there's relevance topics for lesson 10. Okay. There are 4 discussion boards this week that you are required to participate in. This isn't the greatest. Okay. Da, da, da. Also remember the course evals, but it doesn't, I
So
don't think we have to meet as a group. I think you're right, Mary.
yeah, I think we're changing to just uh discussion boards. Okay.
Well, I'm going to go into lesson 11 won't let me in till tomorrow. But I've
No.
already done the one. Huh?
Open up the last 2 weeks to complete them. Their option would choose. But I think this week was the last week for a group.
Okay. Okay.
So next week something.
Yeah.
So we don't have
Because
to
I've got
to
people already responding to the
yes.
topics for next week, which I think are pretty darn easy, I got to tell you.
Okay, well, I haven't made it there yet. I'm still in this week.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, well, Mary, thank you so much for meeting with me. I was so stressed out. I thought, oh my stars, I'm not going to be able to get this done. I'm going to be in trouble. So I really want to thank you for. I'm sorry that you had a hard time getting on with Allison
Oh,
and Jolynn, but I super appreciate the time that you took with me to meet with me today.
yeah, see, it worked out, so you were able to get yours completed too. So that's great. So, well, thank you for
It
your help.
did. It did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we
let me know
do.
if I can help you. You have my
Okay.
cell.
Okay, and I will post the video on the group on the discussion board.
I think I did. I think I did it right just now. So
Okay.
I went down to the bottom right where it says links and I highlighted the YouTube thing. Is that right?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so I put that in the discussion board, but
Yes.
you can look at it. You need to tweak it. Just do that for us, I should say. I don't want to mess you up either.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you again, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Okay, you take care.
Okay, you do the same.
Bye-bye.
Bye.